get that in order. All right, this time, y'all bow with me and say, dear Lord, we just come to you today, represent Lincoln Parish, Father, and we pray that you'll put your hand upon our heart and guide us as we need to. Through this in your name, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, can we get approval of the agenda? Second. Approval in a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Public comments on agenda items. Do we have any public comments? Hear none. We'll move on to new business. Permitting update by Mr. Bob Meyer Riley Company on the landfill.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. I wanted to, Courtney asked me to come and give you an update on the recent permitting activities at the landfill, and there have been quite a few. I gave everybody a map to reference, so as we talk about some of the permitting updates and some of the things that have gone on. So as you know, for some time, for many, many years, the landfill operated an air curtain destructor, a burner basically that burned the wood waste at the landfill. It was operated by a third party under contract with the police jury. And a couple of years ago, the police jury decided to do that in-house and moved to do required you to obtain your own permits for that work. So we applied for and received a Title V air quality permit, which you received for your own air curtain destructor, and you're covered under that permit. But you also had to modify your solid waste permit to operate that air curtain destructor inside the limits of the landfill. It was under a separate permit by your contractor before, but the jury had to obtain that permit in your own name. So that required a modification to your permit, to your solid waste permit. That was submitted and approved, and after it was approved, we had to give Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality an opportunity to come do a startup inspection. So Kerry and his staff and the manufacturer installed the new air curtain destructor at the landfill. A couple of weeks ago, they performed a manufacturer startup and started up the new equipment with the manufacturer on site, and Kerry and his staff were trained in the operation of the new equipment. And we basically had to shut everything back down in order for DEQ to come do their startup inspection. That inspection happened last week, Tuesday of last week on July 2nd. DEQ came and did a walkthrough of the landfill, walkthrough of the air curtain destructor, and we're satisfied with what they saw, and we anticipate receiving a letter in the next week or so authorizing the jury to begin operations under your permit for that air curtain destructor. So it's taken a little while. It's taken a few new permits. It's taken a permit modification for that to happen, but you should soon be authorized by DEQ to begin operations of the ACD under your own permit. So the other thing that we've been working on is permitting of new C and D cells. As you see there on the map, I'm going to reference a few areas. The light blue area that's basically an oval there on the north east side of the site is your existing C and D cell that you've been using for some time. It's about 9.5 acres. That site has limited capacity, and it was time for the jury to begin looking for other areas for disposal and other areas to move to for disposal of the construction demolition debris. So we have permitted 2 sites. One site we're calling the north site. It's in dark blue, and it's within the limits of the existing landfill. There's a kind of a low area of the landfill that could be filled there, and the other area is just outside the landfill boundary. We're calling that the south area, but both of those areas were permitted together with the idea that you only construct one area as you need it, and then construct the second area when the time comes. That permit application was submitted on May 22nd of this year. It was 432 pages of documents of information that was sent to DEQ. A lot of things involved in the permitting of that. Again, both areas were permitted. We're only, with the idea that only, one area would be built at a time as needed. But we anticipate, based on your current, current capacity or the current rate at which you bring in C&D, this gives you capacity for about 40 years for C&D disposal if you use both of those areas. So the application itself was submitted May 22nd. There are some public notices that go along with that, and Courtney, there's a copy. Courtney brought a copy in. That's the document that was submitted to DEQ. There are public notices that go along with that. Those public notices have run in both the Ruston Daily Leader and the Baton Rouge Advocate. And so the next step, we anticipate DEQ reviewing that information. They will find things that they want revised or clarified, and they will issue what's called a notice of deficiency, an NOD. And we respond to those notice of deficiencies until we clarify everything that they need to get clarified within that document, and then they will issue a new permit for the construction of these two areas. Again, we'll only construct one area at a time, cell B, which is the dark blue, and then cell A, which is the lighter red south, on the south part of the landfill. This new permit does allow you to relocate the scale house at the time of your choosing. If you choose to do that, you can move that, and you can, at that time, you can move the front entrance of the facility to where the highway department, kind of the road that the highway department utilizes. And that idea is to kind of alleviate some traffic out there on Arkansas Plant Road, and it's a little longer road coming into the landfill, coming in that way. So essentially, the back gate would become the front gate, and the front gate would become the back gate if the scale house were relocated. Again, the permit's written in a way gives you the flexibility. If you choose not to do that, you can continue operating the way you're doing now, but it just allows you to do that at the time of your choosing when that may be done. That's where we are. We're waiting on DEQ to issue a letter for you to operate the ACD. We think that's coming in the next week or so. And then we will be waiting on their comments back from this permit document, which we anticipate coming in the fall or early winter. We think by the end of the year, we'll have comments from them and be able to respond to whatever issues they want us to address. But any questions about that? Yeah, go.
So, how long do these permits last?
They're 10-year permits. They last for 10 years. With once they're completed and in that state, a renewal is much simpler of that permit. Since the length of time it took was due to the new areas that we were expanding into and some of the work associated with that. Okay. But if you still have capacity in the areas after 10 years, a renewal is fairly simple.
Well, this right here, that's the old municipal solid waste cell.
That is correct. That's an old cell, municipal solid waste.
Like the actual trash.
The actual trash. It's been covered up. It's been there and it's sitting in post closure is where you are with that cell.
And that's the only.
There are other cells within your current landfill. The reason that's depicted on the map the way it's shown is because we're actually piggybacking on top of that to kind of save some room, to utilize all the space that's there before we expand into an area that's not going to use.
Do you know how much acreage we have out here that's closed? Or
almost the entire site. Is there in post-closure. Almost everything in that.
Utilized in post-closure.
That's correct.
Planted in pine trees.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I was thinking, surely we got more than 7 acres.
That's correct. Yeah, no, all of this area around here is
post-closure
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And it's hard to see because it's not three-dimensional, but, you know, that actually makes kind of a V, so it's got a lot of depth to it right there.
Yeah, it goes down in a big old hole.
Yeah,
right
it's
there,
not
doesn't it?
flat.
Yeah. Like this top, that's the top of the hill right there.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's the C in the area now, and it's getting up pretty tall now, so.
So what is our remaining capacity on the existing facility? Do you
You've got about a year, maybe 18 months.
Oh, it's close.
So it's close, so once the new area is permitted, it's time to start thinking about construction of one of those cells, which takes a little while to develop those and to build an area to be able to accept the waste. And again, it's a process just like the construction of the ACD. The new cell is constructed. There's a certification process that the new area goes through. We have to allow DEQ to come in and do an on-site inspection before we can open up. So it's a step-by-step process that we go through to get one of those online. Anything else?
Terry, you want to say anything about the ACD, how that's, what your impressions are of that?
During the 2 days of class training that we went through, we were very impressed with it. It did everything they told us it would do. With the last one, our operator would grab his tractor, grab the limbs, put it in the burner, and have to kind of slow itself around before he put another grab in because he had to let that one burn off. With this one, he could move fast as he wanted. He would go and grab one, put it in. By the time you get back with another, the other one's already burned off. So he won't be putting 5 or 10 buckets in there and stopping for an hour or so to let it burn off. I mean, it was going just like that. So it's pretty impressive.
Good.
What natural gas or I guess propane starts this
Electric.
thing? It's electric.
Yes.
Huh. That's interesting.
One other question, Bob.
Bet that meter turns.
What is the
For
length of
start.
time projections that we have for this particular landfill? Do we have anything like that before we're just out of space totally?
So these two new cells will, if you keep accepting waste at the rate you're currently accepting waste, these two new cells will provide capacity for about 40 years. We'd have to look and we'd have to do some figuring on where, if there are other areas within the existing landfill that we could slope up and mound up and make C&D cells out of. These two areas that we're doing were the most ideal, I guess, as far as the permitting process went. The south area is where Kerry and his staff have been getting the cover material that goes on top of the waste, and so he's developed a low spot that we could start filling. So there's some areas that we're gonna have to we'll have to look into that in the future for, and it may not be feasible on this site. There may be some other areas we need to look at.
We hope to be able to start taking in more commercial debris. You know, right now, we're very selective about what we take.
Right,
You know, if
right,
they're tearing down a large structure, we just have to tell them, you gotta carry it somewhere else,
Right.
if we don't have capacity.
right.
So we wanna be able to accommodate them.
And I will say that, there's a regulation in the permit process that talks about covering the debris every 30 days. Is that right, Kerry? Every 30 days, the waste has to be covered with a certain amount of dirt. And so that dirt has traditionally come from on site. And over time, we suspect that you're gonna run out of cover material. You're gonna have to find an area of cover material, and so the jury may have to bring it in themselves, or may have to find another area to do. So that's something that's coming, but for now, I think you have enough cover material to at least get started.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. All right, item number 2, authorize advertisement for bids for a used 6-wheel drive motor grader. According to-
Okay, if you recall here, a month or two ago, we went through an exercise in purchasing was it a dozer for the highway department? And that was predicated on the fact that when the rental ended, it more than doubled. Well, the same thing happened to this motor grader that we're using at the landfill. It went from, Jerry's got the numbers, what did we go from to?
Well, the new rental rate, would be $5,400, and it was about maybe $19.86 a month is what we're currently paying.
And so, we kind of looked at, doing with this exactly like we did with the motor grader, which has worked out well. This machine is in really good shape. We made sure that it was, in really good condition. So it's got a lot of useful life left to it, don't you think?
And we can buy that particular machine, right, like we did with the dozer?
Yes.
Yep.
And so we would like permission to advertise for bids for a used six-wheel drive, is that a six-wheel drive? Yeah, motor grader. And we'll follow the same process we did on the
What's the
dozer.
purchase price?
About 230.
236.
So, I mean, it's got 10 years left on it or more, so that's 23,000 a year.
Yeah,
Based, you know, versus 50-something.
yeah. I'll make that motion.
All right, we got a motion and a second.
Advertise for bids for the motor grader.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Move on to any other business.
We do want to show you, has everybody seen the little video that we put out with the dumpsters? Right, so,
You're a movie star.
yeah, we'll run that for you real quick.
In our lovely parish, we all keep our dumpster sites clean and tidy. But do you know what can and can't go into your parish dumpster? Meet visitor A dumpster hero. He knows that household trash, recyclables, and small items belong in the dumpster. And then there's visitor B. We all know a visitor B. Oh no! Large furniture and bulky items don't belong here. And remember, don't pile up trash on the side. Luckily, our parish waste management team is here to help. Large items, hazardous waste, and construction debris need to be taken to the landfill. Our site stays clean, and everyone knows the rules. For more information on what goes where, visit our website www.lincolnparish.org or call 318-251-5159, and remember, we're cleaner together, greener forever.
So this is part of our social media outreach, which, you know, I think they did a really good job on this one, and hopefully it'll get the message out. You know, it helps if you see it, if you share it with other people, then that kind of expands pretty rapidly. We'd like, you know, to keep working on that.
B and C.
Thank you, Carrie, for your role in that. There's no residuals. Sorry. But we're gonna continue to try to put these things together and get them put out there, so. That was just FYI.
Thank you for doing that.
Thanks, thought that looked good.
Good deal.
All right, no other business? Any public comments? No public comments? Meeting adjourned.
We have
We call the order to the Polish jury regular meeting on this July the 9th, and I'd like to ask if we can call the order first, I'm going to ask Mr. Matt Pullen if he would leave an invocation in his pledge of allegiance.
Yes, sir. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the many blessings that you've given us. We ask that you come to us tonight with your lay your hands on our hearts and our minds as we make decisions for this community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any public comments on the agenda items at this point in time? Okay, we'll move into approval of the minutes of our prior meeting on June the 11th. We have a motion that we approve the.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there would be none. So moving to have one committee report, the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. If Mr. Cranford would give us a report on that, please.
Solid Waste Committee had a meeting at 6:30 this afternoon. We got an update from Bob Myers at the Riley Company about our new C&D site permitting and our air burner out at the landfill permit. And we also authorized a bid for a used six-wheel drive motor grader. I present this in the form of a motion.
Okay, that's in the form of a motion. We'll have a second. There's a second. And prior to us voting, are there any questions or comments on this before we vote? So let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposition? There is none, so we'll move on. So we're moving to new business, and we're excited tonight to have Representative Mr. Chris Turner in our presence tonight. We've been wanting to get him here for a little while, and it worked out really well this month. Mr. Rashid Young could not make it tonight, but Mr. Turner is going to give us an update on some things. And just from the police jury, Mr. Turner, we really appreciate your work, your effort that you put in to keep Lincoln Parish going strong. And we certainly respect you and what you're doing, and thank you for all that you're doing. And look forward to just giving us an update on where we stand on some
Where you
things.
want me to be? What do you want me to do? Anywhere here?
Right there's fine, yeah.
Good, perfect, this works. So, I wanna update first the, I-20 bridge, Tech Drive. The money was in the bill this year, so I'll do a mail out later. I think anybody that's voted in the last 8 elections will get a mail out. And it'll have some of the top bills that are included, and part of that, you'll see a $717 million we had extra, and a part of that went to roads and bridges. I know everybody's very concerned about roads and bridges, so awesome, my backup's here, I can quit talking now. So the I-20 bridge does have money allocated for it. I can't give you a timeline when the money's there, so they're still working on the planning. Hopefully 25 we'll start hearing something on that. Ronnie's more, the mayor's more up to date on that. Also, anybody that's driving out in his district, we got the $20 million on I-20 now, right around the industry exit, Simsboro exit, how you wanna drive in the left lane. I think it's $21 million to fix that too. So that's bad, even if all the truckers are moving over when you're going that way. I talked to the DOTD director, Jeff, in Monroe. I actually have a meeting with him tomorrow in Monroe at 7 o'clock. He called me exciting about the dollars that were gonna be spent in Lincoln and Union Parish. So I know if you drive 820, there's a lot of people that's a shortcut. People don't take 820 because it's so bad, and there's a lot of other roads that are that bad too. If you notice, the 818 has started working on right. That's part of $3 million we got over 3 years ago, and they're just now starting on it. So that's was some of the hiccup, and that's one of the new things that the new DOTD department, they're going through. They're actually having a hearing, I think Thursday at 10 o'clock. Chairman Boryak is having a meeting with them about priorities and trying to get some of the roads, because we've allocated $3 million, and I don't think very much of that $3 million was spent about 3 years ago just to go to roads that we get to pick. So that's pretty exciting. A couple of bills of interest for us is HB 940, which is a deferred maintenance bill. That will pump in about $60 million to Louisiana Tech and over about, I think it's $74 million into Grambling. And that will be spent probably hopefully in the next 7 to 10 years. So anybody know the leaky roof or sewer or water problem at the universities, or I think HVAC, your air conditioning and heating is probably some of the most costly things. That's fixing that, but that's a $2 billion backlog in the state. And that is 70% of the square footage that Louisiana owns. So that was a bill that I actually ran and got after, in the House, I think I had 4 or 5 votes nays, and when it came back over, when everybody understood it, it came out with all yays. So that's a good bill. Also, something I cannot talk about, but I wanna talk about, if you look up HB 827, don't look it up, don't write it down, but there's something going, hopefully there's something very exciting happening in North Louisiana in the next couple of months, and we should hear an announcement pretty soon, which is major to our economy, and something that the governor and the speaker have worked very closely on. I just got lucky enough to carry the bill for the sales tax rebates for it. So it's gonna be a huge industry, and it will affect us in this area. Well, I don't think it will be in this area. They haven't announced it. I don't know for sure. It's not gonna be in Lincoln Parish, but this will be close enough that it'll affect us. It's a huge investment.
Good. Okay.
Any other questions? I'll be happy to answer. I don't wanna take up too much time, because I know you have a meeting. And I know Rasheed would love to talk.
Well, no, I would not. I agree. I think
You can't do that to me.
Well, I think you've done a great job of sort of summing up everything that we did this session. I think you got 2 representatives from Lincoln Parish that's fighting for you, and we're working together. One of the things, this is my first term, of course, so some of you guys I met and some of you I haven't, but I encourage you to be in contact with my office, especially coming up this fall as we start receiving your capital outlay requests, because that's gonna be coming up. I think the deadline is in November, so make sure you get with me and talk about what you need in your respective districts, and so we can get that in. I do sit on the Ways and Means Committee, which is a committee that handles all of your capital outlay projects. And Chris is a great partner. He comes in the committee and brings projects.
Bad bills.
Yep.
Bad bills.
Good bills.
Good bills.
Brings projects from Lincoln Parish, and I'm always happy to work with Chris on those projects. One of the things that I wanted to do in my first term was make sure we continue to highlight and tell the story of the success of Lincoln Parish. So, we brought the Ruston High Bearcats football team down there to be recognized. We brought the Grambling State University basketball team down to be recognized. And there were some other groups from Lincoln Parish that came down, so we're gonna continue to do that. There was one bill, House Bill 461, one of our colleagues out of Shreveport brought that bill. It was a pretty controversial bill, but it was signed by the governor, and what it does is it protects parish governments in their economic development negotiations. So as you bring businesses into the parish and you're negotiating with organizations and companies, there's some added protections in there for you, so that you don't have to disclose certain details of the negotiations until 2 years after the project either was successful or not successful. So some people liked it, some people didn't, but it's worth noting because every other governmental entity at the state level has those protections, but the parish governments did not have those protections. And so it may help you guys secure some economic development projects with without folks getting in the middle of what you're doing. So look at that bill.
Right?
It's Jacksonville. Yeah.
That he fought for that. Yeah, he had to fight for that bill.
Broadband.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a continued conversation, but I believe we have federal dollars through the gumbo funding.
Yeah, we're touching, the first year we were actually ranked number 3 year before last on pushing it out. I think we're close to like $1.73 billion. I think that's the number that Louisiana's got to spend, and I think it's gonna be another 4 years before everybody gets it, but it's moving along. I know East Carroll was one of the original spots where they opened it up in Union because of the rulings of Union, but it's coming, and I think everybody's trying to figure out what's our next angle, where we're going from that, because we've put so much money into it. We're trying to see the outcomes of that and what the dollars that are being spent, how it's gonna reflect. But they're saving 5 years from year before last, but you know, things get pushed back and moved around and complications. But it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. It's just a process, and as we get more communication from the Office of Broadband, we'll push that out to you guys and let you know where it's gonna be putting up, I guess they're putting out fiber,
Yeah.
fiber optic, which is gonna improve broadband in rural areas. Any other questions?
I might just say thank you both first of all. It's really, really nice to have such fighters down there for us. Chris, I might ask you to speak to the supplemental appropriations bill and what you were able to secure for the fire district.
So we got $500,000 for the fire district. I think another 225 for the industrial park. The LED was trying to push another 150 for some acquisition. Were we all trying to get something? There was another
Planning
150K.
Planning money.
Yes, planning money was 150K for that.
So I think
And
that's
then-
almost 800 something thousand, right?
Yeah, if you
absolutely.
wanna throw Louisiana Tech in there, I'm not gonna mention that number
Yeah,
either.
right.
A little bit in Union, but yeah, we came
So-
out pretty good on that. Helped Dubach out too with the loss of their police vehicle. I put that in the bill at the very last end, trying to help them with that, and that happened up there. It was sad. He was a good man.
Yeah.
So we helped them out a little bit too. But, the tech, there's a lot going on at Grambling, and there's a lot going on at Tech. The Forestry Research Center, I think most of y'all have heard about. They have enough dollars, they got just enough dollars, imagine that, to get it started where they could get the, because we're dealing with wood, it was in a timely manner that they could do it. So we got enough money to be able to start that program, and also the new athletic center on the north end zone, it should be a revenue creator for Tech too. It got started, and then their steam control, they got the money for that, for the heating and cooling, which was a good bit of money there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Plan to do a little more next year before we run out of money. We're gonna try to get trust me when I tell you, we're gonna try to get everything we can do. It was a fight to get the money for the fire department. It was a fight in the Dubach. So there wasn't very many resources out there for us to get out there. We got a few crumbs, I guess you
Yeah,
could say.
we did pretty good for Grambling State as well. Of course, we secured $250,000 for Grambling State Athletics. Our digital library, there's a huge announcement coming about that. So be on the lookout for that. I think President Lamel is gonna make an announcement either this week or next week. So we're looking to get that library where it needs to be structurally and get it open. We got $10,000 coming. You know, it's a small project, but it's an important project. So there's a bus stop right around Grambling State University's campus that has no cover. And so when those students are out there and non-students riding those buses, they're just subject to whatever weathering conditions are out there. And so Councilwoman Ponton in Grambling actually requested funding for that project. So be on the lookout for that. I mean, it's a small project, but it's gonna be huge for those folks that catch the buses out there. And the Grambling Community Center is also getting, I think, $260,000-270,000 to kind of upgrade that facility. We know a lot of our senior citizens are over there a lot, doing games and things like that, so.
Right, yeah, we had there was 900 and some odd bills in the House, I think 504 in the Senate, and about 700 resolutions. So there was a lot going on this time with the new governor and everybody trying to fill everything out, because it was totally different from the other 5 years I've been down there. Been a different atmosphere this time around.
Do you think the reorganization of the OTD will have any effect,
You know, we're-
positive effect for our actual roads up here?
So go back to just putting money on roads and trying to make them happen within 3 years is crazy when the cash is there.
Yeah.
The problem is, and you know, we heard this a lot, when Sean Wilson was there, Dr. Wilson, he was talking about how we could spend 80 million. I can't spend 200 million because we've not spent we haven't invested in our roads, so there's no companies here, no equipment's here, so when all the dollars went out with COVID and all that, everybody left our state. So there wasn't very many road crews to do our work, and that's one of the problems in the backlog. It didn't just all, and trust me, I'll throw DOTD under the bus just about any day, but, you know, them not having the facility, playing the game on getting the equipment and the asphalt and the concrete, they went through a lot just doing what they were doing. But I sure do hope they get reorganized. The best part about it, I think we put right under $500 million toward roads and bridges this year. Each one of those shovel-ready projects has its own guy who you can call that's over that project, and we know where it's at and what's going on. And that's a big deal. There's also a little push here lately to try to get more control in Baton Rouge. And I sent in my mailer, and I want the autonomy here. I don't want it in Baton Rouge. I want it here to where we can call Monroe and speak to that guy, then he go fight in Baton Rouge for us, and we go fight in Baton Rouge. So it's changing, we just don't know how it's gonna change. I probably spoke too much on that, but I want our district's office to stay in control of what we do, and not somebody in Baton Rouge who doesn't live up here, who doesn't have a family up here.
Is there any voice that we could have in that conversation, or is it?
Trust me when I tell you, the chairman feels the same way,
Okay.
so that's, he sent out a mailer earlier, and the last part was request, and I said, ask Jeff,
Yeah.
which is the guy there, because we literally spent all day writing District 12. It hit just about every pothole around except Highway 80. And I've been wore out enough about Highway 80, trying to get it fixed, you know, going towards you, Jeff. Yes, so trust me, it's on our mind. We have a governor, let's remove all the social issues, let's remove the R&D stuff. He's seriously trying to put some money back in the state, make it better, make it where businesses and people want to live here. So,
I love good news all around. Well, we really appreciate, Mr. Turner and Mr. Young. Thank y'all very much for being here. We want y'all to know that we want to work with y'all. We got to all be in it together to do for Lincoln Parish what needs to be done. And, we're excited that y'all came tonight. You took time out of your busy schedules to come. And, we just all want to thank you for that. And, we'll continue to work together and, be on the same page with all this stuff so we can all make it better. Thank y'all very much.
Thank everybody in the room for being here, because this is, 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, we can be doing other things, so it's an honor, and he know, I think I speak for him too, so I won't speak you. It's an honor to serve, but it's more of an honor to come back home and sit here, and, because y'all live here, y'all deal with the local politics, which is sometimes tougher than the Baton Rouge politics, because not very many people understand what we do inside the rails, or even want to understand what we do inside the rails down there. So thank y'all.
Good. Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
I just approved it today. Give me about 3-4 weeks. It's coming back out.
Okay, once again, thank y'all for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right, item number 3, consider and take action if necessary, modifications to current intergovernmental agreement with Lincoln Parish Coroner for general liability insurance costs. Mr. Hall.
Okay, for those of you that are new, you may have been aware of this already, we contract with the coroner. We have an agreement, intergovernmental agency agreement, whereby, he provides the services and we provide him some revenue to operate his office. And so there are certain things spelled out in that contract that we provide and that he provides. Something that came up was there was a lawsuit filed. It was one of these shotgun suits that sued everybody and anybody who had anything to do with this issue where somebody, I believe, was committed. But anyway, the coroner was named as an individual. So this kind of brought to light that he found out that he assumed that he was covered under the jury's policy. So that was not the case. We assumed that he knew he was supposed to acquire his own general liability. So all that being said, I feel confident. Jared, you want to say anything about the suit? I think he's been dismissed basically from that suit. So we don't want to waste any time making sure that we get coverage provided for him. And so, you know, you might question, why does the police jury have to pay for that? Well, I had an insert in your packet that's an opinion from the Attorney General that basically says that the police jury or the governing authorities responsible for the legally necessary operation of the coroner's office, which includes providing general liability insurance. So what we'd like to do tonight is just amend that contract, and it'll continue going forward as we renew that contract, that the police jury will cover the coroner under their general liability insurance, or they will provide funding for him to purchase his general liability insurance. So we just need permission to go ahead and get that agreement amended now.
So moved.
So,
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Any questions or comments about this?
so we basically just add him as an additional insured on our policy.
We haven't figured out how we're gonna do it yet.
The coroner has acquired their own policy,
Oh,
and they'll pay with reimburse.
perfect.
Yeah.
We could handle it either way, that's the way we look at it.
Perfect.
Any other question? Okay. All in favor of this, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none, so it passes unanimously. Item number 4, authorize agreement, MOU between Lincoln Parish Police Jury and University of Louisiana in Monroe for hosting of Messonet weather station on parish property, and authorizing parish administrator to execute the agreement.
Okay, I'm gonna let Kip talk about that.
All right, good evening, everybody. University of Louisiana at Monroe approached us. They're kind of spearheading this project. It's a statewide project. And they're talking about putting a bunch of, it's a large network of interconnected environmental and weather monitoring stations. And so they've chosen Lincoln Parish. They're currently looking at 2 sites here in Lincoln Parish. One, Kevin and I met with them, and one is at the Highway Department on Arkansas Plant Road, and the other would be at the dirt pit on Big Creek Road. That one's got the highest elevation in the parish, and they're only looking for about the maximum size piece of parcel of land they're looking for is 30 feet by 30 feet. So it's not very big. That's the maximum. They can put it on a smaller parcel than that. But this is what a site, will look like right here. It'll be all fenced in, have all the equipment on, most of the equipment will be mounted on that tower, around the base of that tower. And so the other part of it is they'll enter into a friendly memorandum of understanding with the police jury with a 3-year renewal term, no cost associated whatsoever. The police jury can withdraw from that agreement as long as they give about a 90-day notice and let them know that they have some other use for that property now or something, So they will be responsible for all on-site maintenance and equipment maintenance and all that. The project timeline, once the agreement is confirmed and the equipment is ready for installation, should begin as early as September, hopefully, if everything is put in place, and should be operational hopefully by the beginning of the year, 2025. What this will do, this will produce updated, very current weather information that especially our first response agencies are interested in. If we have a hazmat incident on I-20, we can get wind speed and all kinds of wind direction, stuff like that really quick. Any archive data that they're gonna store here, we'll have to get administrative rights to access that information. But as far as current updated weather information, we'll get it. We conducted the site visits, and then we met with the first response agencies to get their input on it. Everybody's in agreement. Now, we did have a project with our state Homeland Security money for 2023 to put another little weather monitoring device on the communication tower at the Ruston Fire Department here on George Street. We're gonna move forward with that just to have some redundancy in place as well, because what's going on up at Hilly or what out the Highway Department might not be what's going on in Ruston as far as the wind direction and stuff. So that's basics of it, and seems like a pretty cut and dry little project. And ULM, like I say, is heading this up, so all over the state. So.
No cost to us, no liability. The thing is solar powered, runs on batteries, so they don't have to run any utilities out there. And the property of Big Creek is basically available at this point. So.
Their administrator at ULM is trying to make the final decision on which of the 2 sites they prefer. So
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Are all minds clear on this? Does somebody have a question for Courtney or Kip on this? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none, so it passes unanimously. So we move to item number 5, and that is to schedule public hearing for 7 p.m. August 13, 2024. Consider levying additional of increased millage rates without further voter approval or adopting adjusted millages rates after reassessment and rolling forward to rates not to exceed the prior year's maximum. So you or Mike will deal with this.
I'll go ahead and take this one. I mean, this is something that we do every reassessment year. This was a reassessment year, which basically means all property in Lincoln Parish was reassessed for value. And so what happens then is if there's a difference from the value where the previous year, is that right, Michael?
That's correct.
If it's significant enough, you have to, by law, roll your existing millages back to bring in the same amount of money that you brought in last year. Then you have the option, as a jury, to vote to roll forward to the maximum or back up where you were. And so the property tax increase there, the difference, is basically additional revenue for the police jury. And so there are a lot of real strict guidelines that you have to follow in order to do that. One of those is have a public hearing and a public meeting, and you have to announce it, 30 days before you have it. There'll be advertisements we have to run. And so this is one of the steps in that process. Even the verbiage on the agenda item is very specific about how we had to put it on there.
So this was from last year's reassessment. Like, he's already done this reassessment.
He's already done his reassessment, and I don't know if you want to talk about what the numbers are.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, I'm still working through some calculations.
We just got them.
Yeah, we just got them last.
So he's just finishing this up.
Yeah.
There's not a significant increase.
Okay, so we would have the hearing and then we would have the meeting, or we would have the hearing and then we would take action the next month, or how?
No, you would do it the same day.
At the same-
You would have the public hearing,
Okay,
and then you would, the next item on the agenda,
we would roll back and then
you have
potentially
to
roll
roll
forward.
back,
Yeah.
and then you have the option to roll
Option to roll
forward.
forward, okay. Makes sense. We need a motion to schedule the hearing?
Yes.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Everybody understand this, or any questions that they might could clarify? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposition? There is none, so it passes unanimously. Item number 6 is to consideration and recommendation of candidate for the Greater Ward 1 Waterworks District, Mr. John Sutton, to fill unexpired of Mr. Don Hogan through December 31 of 2025.
We made an announcement at our last meeting that this vacancy was getting ready to occur because Mr. Don Hogan is retiring and no longer wants to serve. The Water District has recommended Mr. John Sutton to fill Mr. Hogan's unexpired term through 12/31/25.
I make that motion to move John Sutton in that position. Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There would be none. Okay, Mr. Sutton, if you will give us our treasury report, please.
Yes, sir, thank you, Mr. President. Jury, you have in front of you your budget to actual report for all major funds for the month of June. It's gonna be a short list this month, because there weren't a lot of changes from the previous months. Obviously, page 1, line 26, which is professional services, I mean, that's continuing to creep up. But we really shouldn't be surprised, because really somewhere between 280 to 285,000 of that is for Mike Walpole, for the Health Hub project. As you'll recall me saying, this jury took action, to pay for professional services for that project out of local dollars. The good news for that is we're pretty close to being done paying him. So moving through the end of the year and into next year, we should see that subside a little bit. We still do have the HVAC project, which is under the same guidelines, because that's paying local dollars for professional services, but it won't be anywhere near that amount. The only other thing I want to bring to your attention, I brought it to your attention several months ago, I believe it was 3 months ago, and there was no activity for the last 2 months, but it went back up this past month. But page let me see here, the last page, which would be, hospital proceeds, page 9. We have the line 277, mental health sanity evaluations. As you can see, we're almost to the max. We're 38,400 to 40,000 that we budgeted for. Again, this is court-ordered sanity evaluations for defendants in the court system. Really have no control over it. It's a state mandate. We really just adjust accordingly based on what that activity is. There's never really been consistent volume with that since I've been here in 2021. But like I said, the last 2 months there was no activity, and this past month there was quite a bit of activity. So that's where we stand today. Are there any questions at this point? Yes, sir.
Michael, that money goes to the coroner's office, correctly?
What goes to whichever doctor administers the evaluation.
Okay, but so that's not always the coroner's
No.
office?
No.
Okay.
There's actually, I believe, only 2 or 3
In the state.
that are certified through the state to do this.
There's not one in Lincoln Parish.
Oh, this is
Not
the
in-
larger, this is the larger evaluation for for the trials?
Sanity.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Not for like a,
This is not a commitment
No,
type thing.
okay.
No,
Okay.
no, this is through the court system. And like I said, there's a very small pool of candidates or doctors that qualify for it. But every time we get billed for it, we write them a check.
Do we anticipate how much more we possibly gonna spend on this?
I mean, I can annualize it based on what activity we've had, but as I said, it's very difficult because, you know, even if we looked at the docket, we wouldn't know who's gonna be ordered that sanity evaluation, so it's really, I think, a guess, honestly. I mean, I don't even know if it's an educated
It's a moving
guess.
target every
It
year.
is. There's really no way to know on our end, and I don't even know if the judges would either, really, it's a case-by-case basis, depending on who the attorneys are involved and who the defendant is. And we don't have any of that information.
Do we know how much it costs to do one?
I believe it's,
It's expensive, though. I remember we talked about it one time before, it's pretty expensive.
yeah, I mean,
you
it's,
know.
I think 1,200 per evaluation, I believe is what it is.
Good Lord, we've done a bunch of them then.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
6 months.
Yes, cause if I goes to the courtroom on Tuesday, some of the people that they say incompetent, it's nothing wrong with those people. You know, they send them to Jackson sent them right back, there's nothing wrong. So that's money taxpayer losing. So they need to be more aware of what's going on with these people, because a lot of them just trying to get out of court situation. So, you know, we losing money. And some of them, you know, really have a problem, but a lot of them don't.
And all I really can do is just keep y'all up to date. As I said, I didn't bring it up the last 2 months because there was no activity. I've brought it up before. So when there is activity, I just want to make everyone aware of it, so when we do adjust or amend the budget, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. But that's where we stand as of today. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Can I add something on that? I mean, I do most of my prosecutor work in Union Parish, and so I see these sanity commissions being ordered. And I don't see a lot of abuse with it. I mean, you know, I understand what you're saying, that maybe sometimes there's nothing wrong with them, but we have to have an evaluation to know that.
Yeah.
So I understand the frustration with those numbers, and that it's hard to pin down when it's gonna be and how many. I mean, we don't know. It depends on who gets arrested, and how many people get arrested, what we're dealing with. But I haven't seen it be abused, and the people that we use, Bossburg and Kelly in South Louisiana, that do a lot of these, they do a very good job. And they're very responsive, so I think it is money well spent, in my opinion, but that's just for what it's worth.
Amy, do you also agree that it's probably very challenging to predict it?
Yes,
Do you agree
I mean,
with that? Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'll have a docket, I'll have months go by where we never do one, and then I'll have a month where we've got 6 of them on the same docket somehow in one day.
Right.
So it fluctuates a lot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Just outside input, I'm sorry.
You got,
but-
you got no problem. Okay, moving to some reports that we may have. Courtney?
Okay, Kip, you wanna start us off?
Just for letting everybody know that last Wednesday I got a call in our 2019 tornado, the hazard mitigation money that the parish received a year later in 2020, about a week before Hurricane Laura hit us. The generator project portion of that has been approved for 4 applicants. The city of Ruston, the Lincoln Parish Police Jury, the Lincoln Parish School Board, and the Village of Shooter. Those. Louisiana Tech's generator projects are still pending approval. And then the city of Ruston's hardening project, where they basically strap down the operations center to keep a tornado hopefully from lifting it off the ground. At the public works site, that's still, we've got a lot of kinks to work out in those type projects. But this is originally the stuff, like I say, the hazard mitigation funding that was awarded Lincoln Parish for that tornado. Governor John Bell Edwards awarded the entire federal allocation to Lincoln Parish, which was a total of $2,952,908 was the federal share. The local cost share would be $984,303 for a total project cost of $3,937,211. Let's see, the city of Ruston's gonna be serving as the primary applicant for these projects. On behalf of all participating applicants, they also accepted responsibility as that primary applicant, and they also sponsored the application assistance that was provided by Hunt Gill and Associates on behalf of all the participating entities. For the police jury, generator projects for us include all these are permanent mounted generators. I take that back, except for one. But a permanent mounted generator to landfill scale house, the highway department office, the highway department shop, Blueberry Hills treatment plant, which that may vary now, the South Chatham treatment plant, where our new treatment plant will be in place, and we'll have one, and then a 250 kW mobile generator was approved, which will support Grambling and Jubot water wells, where we have transfer switches in place already. So that's where we're at. The total for this approved project right now, for just the generators that have been listed, is $2,055,000 and some change.
Good, that's good, that's good.
It's been 3.5 years late. And hopefully they talk like the Louisiana Tech project will be coming along pretty soon, but I don't know about the hardening project down at the operations center. So, any questions?
Thank you, Kip. Gary, you got anything?
So basically, I was gonna update you on the burner situation. We already took care of that. I was also gonna let you know we are in our dumpster refurbishing situation right now. We're going around picking dumpsters up off the site, so if you see one missing or get a call or complain about one missing, we're bringing them back. We may pick up 2 or 3 at a time and bring them in, repaint them, and fix the bottoms, and bring them right back out. So if you get any complaints or see them missing, they're coming back.
Looking good, too.
Good job. Very good. Al, you got anything?
Not much, just been mowing and clearing brush, samples from behind the bike hub, and now just going checking for feed and seeing about our waste systems that we have out there. That's it.
Are we getting a lot of participation on the bike trail?
A bunch. As a matter of fact, I think people are riding the new bike trail more than they are the old ones. Yeah.
Maurice?
Those are.
Alex?
Yeah, I got a little bit of stuff for y'all that's happening there. Kevin, if you would. Like y'all know me, I have a hard time. So I've got some good news from last month to this month. We have increased our amount of catches that we've had. You can go to the next slide, please.
Yeah, look at it.
Like as you see from last month, we only had a total catch of 15. You can go to this month. We've total of 45. Now granted, not all of that is dogs.
2 deer.
We've also caught 2 deer, we've caught 2 turtles, and we've caught 4 snakes. And we've had 27 dogs and 10 cats so far that we've actually all been able to maintain. And some of those snakes were very interesting, but we'll get into that here in a minute. You can go to the next slide, please, Kevin. Last month, you can see we only had about 100 phone calls. This month, I said I wasn't gonna count them, but I wound up doing it anyways. Well over 200 phone calls since the last police jury meeting. And I'm only one person, so I can only get to so many in a day. But I'm doing the best that I can. So you can go to the next slide. This one, the snake on the left-hand side of the road, actually came off a stop sign at the Madden and Monday Road.
Oh,
So I had somebody call me wanting to know if I could come get a snake off of a stop sign, and I said, yeah, I'll come get it.
yeah,
But
Madden Monday.
I was definitely not
yes.
expecting it to still be there when I got there, but it was a banded water snake and it was still sitting there. And then the snake on the right-hand side of the road actually come out of one of our dumpsters. It actually came out of the Gar Road dumpster. Man called me saying there was a snake in the dumpster. Well, I didn't really want to go inside with it, so I just fetched it out and set it outside of the dumpsters. And then this one is a banded water, or a yellow-bellied water snake, and it actually came out of someone's house. A woman called me and she was deathly afraid of it, and I told her, I said, because she thought it was a cottonmouth, and most people look at that would automatically assume a cottonmouth because they're pretty much the same color. But unfortunately, I know it's a yellow-bellied water snake, and I just released it back in the woods. And then the one on the left is actually from a snake that I had to deal with on Monday, yesterday. It was a Louisiana pine snake. They're endangered. I had a woman off of Herd Road call me saying that she had what she thought was a king snake in her house. And well, when I got there, I told her, I said, ma'am, you don't have a king snake. I said, you have a Louisiana pine snake. And she said, so can you just release it in the woods? Well, being how they are actually endangered, you cannot do that. So I actually called the Black Bayou National Wildlife Refuge, which I'm pretty good friends with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife guys over there. And they actually allowed me to bring it over there, and that's actually in one of their captive breeding tanks to where they're going to keep it, make sure it's healthy. And eventually, either if it was a captive bred, they're going to keep it over there and use it for education purposes, and if it was not captive bred, they're actually going to release it back into the wild. And then the one on the right was a box turtle that I wound up finding in the expo center, and I actually had to get it out of the expo center and move it back to the wild, but it counts, it's a turtle. And then the ones on the left, sometimes my job is fun. I get to deal with a whole bunch of puppies at one time. And then you can see what the puppies turn into on the right whenever I have to deal with the bigger versions of them. And then Puddin' that I said was up for adoption last time that I just caught him the day before, actually got adopted on 6/25. And pretty much all the dogs that we've brought in have been getting adopted, which is really good for the city of Ruston and for the police jury. And then the last slide is just nothing, but thank you for allowing me to give my presentation. If y'all have any questions.
I'm told City of Ruston say they a fool. So is that so?
It depends. Actually, they had a mass adoption event last Friday. They had, as of yet on Monday, they had a total of 76 dogs. They have a total of about 60 kennels. Now, granted, not all of that is one dog per kennel because some of them are puppies. Like you saw, I brought in the 8 puppies. Those actually came from out towards the landfill out there. So when I brought them in, they all go in the same kennel.
Together, they just put them in.
So they all
right
go in
there
the same
together.
kennel.
Makes
So
sense, yeah.
there's a mandatory 3 kennels that stay open because we have to have a mandatory 3 kennels that stay open for bite dogs. Because if a sheriff's deputy or something like that gets bit, we have to hold it for 10 days to make sure it doesn't have rabies. So there's always 3 kennels open at all given times. But unfortunately, until we get these 15 adopted, well actually I think it was 20 something dogs adopted that are already adopted out of the shelter, they are pretty full right now.
Yeah.
But in times like that, the hard decision has to be made to see which dogs are either going to be moved to a different rescue or which dogs have to be euthanized, unfortunately. Because City of Ruston is a kill shelter. So actually their adoption rates are higher than their euthanization rates right now because they've only had to euthanize 2 dogs so far because every other dog has been getting adopted. So that's the only bad thing about the kennel or the shelter right now, but they're pretty much getting adopted out. And something that's going to actually help out with us and the parish and Louisiana in general is the Senate, I think, just passed House Bill 653, which is a Louisiana pet stamp, which is going to allow basically anybody in the state of Louisiana to get it's like a duck stamp in a sense. You pay $25 and you get a $50 voucher on a spay or a neuter. So that actually goes into effect next month. We don't know many details on it right now until it goes out in effect. But I've been watching it, and hopefully for the August meeting, I'll have a lot more information on that to give y'all.
Cause it's a lady on Beatty Road she said after the city said they was full, she started keeping them in her yard. Said she don't want them, but she hate to see them, you know, out like that. And through the district, I see where people are putting up bowls with food and water, you know, trying to keep them going.
And that's one of the worst things.
Yeah, that's what I tell them. I said, stop it.
Because if you put food and water out for
They
them,
gonna
all you're
stay
doing is
around.
creating a habitat for
Yeah.
them to stay. And that actually makes it harder for me to sometimes do my job because they're used to that one person feeding and watering them. Versus if I come out there with food and water trying to catch them, they don't wanna go with me because they know, hey, I know where I'm going if he picks me up.
Yeah.
So it just makes it a little easier for me if they don't really feed and water them, and then it'd make it a lot easier on me if people would, cause right now, everyone thinks that we service even inside the municipalities. So sometimes whenever I tell people no, they don't like that answer. Because right now in Dubai, Chudent, Ruston, and Grambling, and I think that's all of them.
Part of that.
Simsboro. And I had to tell a woman no this morning, and she didn't like that answer because she thought that I should cover all the municipalities too, but unfortunately, we do not at the moment.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, very much.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And I think that's all the department heads. One thing I want to mention is we set up a regular monthly meeting we're going to be having out at the Health Hub with the architect and some of the contractors. Y'all are certainly welcome to come out there and get updated. It's going to be the third Wednesday of every month at 8:30 on the site. That's all I have.
Okay, moving to the next item on the other business, item number 8, and that is Organization of Parish Administrative Official, July 31 through August the 2nd in Lafayette, Louisiana.
We need permission to
Pay for that,
attend.
basically.
Yeah, I mean, it would be for me and Kevin
Yep.
and Mike.
And Michael, yeah.
I make a motion to accept this.
Motion made, seconded, okay. Any questions on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. Okay. Next item is authorized travel highway department employees for diesel technician training in Dallas, Texas. Same type of deal. Who's going on that?
I don't have their name.
Okay.
There's a couple, about 2 or 3 guys that are gonna go.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. Okay, at this point in time, we will move into our public comment segment. We do have one that has turned in for public comment. And I would like to remind the public that we do have a 3-minute time limit on our public comments. And that is for everyone's advantage, and because we give someone 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it can just totally get out of control. So we are asking that you please abide by that. Mr. Dennis Woods.
I'm glad you felt like you needed to tell me that. I'm sorry, this is formal, you did that to everybody, I wouldn't take offense to it, but I take that in a look. And you already know what I'm here for, I'm always gonna be here every month, trying out the status, or do y'all have any kind of update on the long straw, and, one place to connect, that we discussed in any point in time, do we have an update on anything, or have it been discussed?
I don't have any updates.
No?
No.
I can say from chairing that planning committee, the only update I would have, that I've reached out to Jackson Parish Police Jury about seeing if they'd be interested in joining with us as some sort of co-applicant, if you will, if we were to go for some federal dollars. So they're looking at their schedule, seeing when they might come up here and sit down with us and kind of talk about the project. Because, you know, East Tennessee, that's
Yeah.
Lincoln Parish on the north side, and
Cross the Jack.
back there to the south side.
Understood.
So that's the only update I have.
I appreciate it, Mr. Wayne, you did give a update on something that is going on, like I said, we still want to know, we would appreciate it if somebody would update.
Did y'all reach out to the city of Ruston and talk to them about
it's-
shutting it down?
About shutting that road down.
When they shut it down, why they didn't provide a road around in the beginning?
Well, we already talked about that one, I think I got a good understanding of what
Yeah, kinda told
happened.
them how it all went down.
Yeah, so it really ain't nothing we can do about that, because we was unaware of the time limit that we had, you know, of the abandoning and all the processing of the road, so we understand that part has passed. There ain't nothing we can do about that for the city of Ruston, but only thing we doing, we coming back to the parish for them to give us access, cause we are still in the parish, not the city of Ruston, so that's what we can say. And so that's why we come to y'all. I don't feel like I say, I know what he gonna say when we go up there, cause we already discussed it. If he did, put it out there and, advertise it like he was supposed to, nothing we can do on that. So like I said, we was unaware of that at the time, so, yeah. Yeah, we would appreciate it sometime during the month, y'all would discuss and just give us a little bit on what's going on with it.
Yeah,
But I
it's gonna be a
appreciate it.
slow, I mean, I'll tell you right now, you already know this, we've already
Yeah.
talked about it, it's not gonna be a quick fix.
Yeah, I know, but I seen the representative bring all that money in here for tech and all that
Yeah.
stuff around here. All we asked for that little bit of fee, you know, but we talking about $270 out here, and
I know.
yeah, and if somebody would ask for something like that for us, that little million wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
We just asking for a little access back to, you know, if we can do things for, everything around the shoulder, we can do for God's house.
Well,
Thank you.
do you all think as a juror, we could go and talk to Mayor Walker ourselves to see what will he be willing to do to help us? Cause he's not a bad man.
No, it's
I've met with him several times, you know, since I've been on this jury, and, you know, and he's willing to work with us, and he's willing to talk with us. And I think we need to make that move.
Man, he probably would just be a juror. You know?
Yeah.
I can't say, but, I know, I've been with him ever since he's been in office, so I just about know.
Yeah.
And know what to expect out of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Dan. Coming.
We had one other to turn in a request for a public comment, but there is no name on it. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
We had met last week with Mr. Courtney and, Coach Williams, and we wanted to know if you guys, came up with a solution to, how we can, pay our taxes and. redeem our property.
We're still researching that.
About how long, how much longer?
I can't answer that question. It's only been a week.
Right.
It takes a little longer than that to get an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are no other public comments that are turned in. So do I hear a motion that we adjourn? Motion made and second. All in favor, we can stand and walk out of here.
I want to thank all the jurors that have paid their